Well, they call him Dr. Copper for a reason. Some people would say that he has an academic PhD in the health of the economy, but I think he's more like a medical doctor. And that perspective being that when you see what Copper is signaling, he's signaling there's ailments within the global economy. And this appears to be, at this stage of the cycle, a demand destruction story. And it's centered right around the tariffs and the trade war. As soon as the rhetoric picked up about the trade war over the late spring, you've seen Dr. Copper peak out, drop roughly 20%. And it's really, the volatility is driven by the headline news through the tariffs. And you see today where there's supposed talks between the U.S. and China to discuss how the tariffs will be implemented, what are the extent of this trade war. You're getting a big rebound, not just in Dr. Copper, but the base metals in general. So
are y'all
the
going to throw
industrial
up
metals,
if I say, how do you know Dr. Copper's a man?
I don't know Dr. Copper's a man or a female, so I'm just using it in the
times we're
go ahead.
We've had a lot of sensitivity training here at CNBC.
That was a yellow
very
question.
sensitive.
Yes.
Very sensitive.
Yeah, well, Dr. Copper is sensitive, man or woman. Dr. Copper is very sensitive to the global economy, and regardless of the gender you ascribe to Dr. Copper, it is causing pain within the marketplace. And so what it's signaling is completely different from things you see within the dollar or you see within the U.S. stock market. And we heard a phrase from
hold on.
I heard a phrase from one of my colleagues.
Believe that instead of the dollar. Believe Copper, not the dollar.
Well, I do believe it's Dr. Copper. The dollar may have a little bit to do with it, but just because the dollar is strong, you got to be careful what you wish for. A strong dollar does not necessitate a strong economy. There's interest rate differentials driving it. This is a tariff policy, which ultimately could lead to inflation. Your intro in this segment was talking about rising prices. That's not good for the consumer unless we have rising wages as well, because that has to put a curtailment on consumption.
What are the extrapolations of this premise then? I mean, if we are to believe that Dr. Copper, whether it be a female or male, signals, Michelle's laughing. Signals bad things for the global economy. Are the trades long treasury, short emerging market? I mean, where do we go from here?
Well, you can see emerging markets are having pain. I don't think it's just the commodity producers. There's obviously the rhetoric and the headline noise around Turkey, which is facing its own crisis right now. One thing to think about when you think about the currencies is that if you recall last week when President Trump tweeted about the success of implementing more tariffs on Turkey and Erdogan and how weak the lira was in a strong dollar, I'm a little nervous that actually could lead to not just a trade war, but a currency war. If it emboldens the president to go out there and focus on other countries and think tariffs are the solution because you can devalue the currency of its trading partners and ultimately cause them economic pain, that could be a bigger problem overall. So it's not a baseline forecast at this stage. It's something to monitor, though, of a trade war turning into a currency war as well.